they're coming home, so they're really our family, right? So they're from Australia, our sisters and brothers who are here in spirit, but sisters only here. From Australia, here also participating. And I see that Peggy is also online, so you're a lot of people that you know are here. So they're here in the live audience, which is wonderful. And so every week we do this in an attempt to try to try to review. In a way, is to try to look back in the past week and try to get an idea, summarize what happened in the past week, right? So because there hasn't been a morning Dharma talk, so we've been doing more. I've been doing more of what Master has been talking about. But before we begin, as always, I would also like to always ask everybody to take action. And this is a call to action to have everybody understanding what we are doing. You must try to know what we're doing. So if you have your phone and you haven't scanned this already, please, pick up your phone and scan this. And I do this every week because I know there are always people that haven't scanned it. And if you have scanned it but you forgot what the URL was, this is an opportunity to scan it again. So that, what is this? This is a perfect resource for all of us that's online right now, because this is the YouTube channel for the ITV, and they put all of the related, the most recent, whether it's Master's talk, whether it's the most recent news that's happening in Africa, and all of these things in groups for us, so that we could just click on it and we would be able to see all the footages and also all the newest things that are happening in the world. Okay, so if you haven't done this already, please pick up your phone and scan, and then remember to bookmark. And the better thing is to subscribe this channel, so that you would be able to always know, and hit the little bell, so that you would always know when the new videos are here. Okay, so, and the next thing here, we need your help, and we continue to need your help. So if you scan this, this is what's called doing good right. What is doing good right? No, doing good right at your fingertips. Okay, so it's not doing good right. It's doing good right at your fingertips. Okay, so if you scan this, it will take you directly to our donation page. Now, the amount, I think the smallest denomination is 100 NT. But of course, always appreciate everybody's effort. Now, if you go in there and do not donate, I still love you too. But it's something that we need to be inspired every day. This is the same way as if I'm asking you, did you eat, right? And if you're not gonna reply, oh, I ate last week. You're gonna tell me, oh, I haven't eaten today, or I ate already, right? So the same thing, if I ask you, have you helped Africa? You're not gonna tell me, I helped last week. No, it doesn't fly. It has to say, I helped last week, and you know what? I'm gonna do it again now. Same thing with food, same thing with Dharma, right? If I ask you, have you listened to Master's talk recently? You're not gonna say, I listened to it last week, so I'm not going to listen again. No, you're gonna say, I haven't, but I'm gonna pick it up today. I'm gonna pick up this pace today. So same idea, okay? Always remember to be inspired in terms of our compassion. Okay, so now very quickly, we're always going to do a brief review of last week, what we talked about last week. Now, last week I used the talk, Master's talk from April 23rd, and this was a talk to Taiwan, to brothers and sisters from Taiwan. So Master specifically talks about that she herself had been feeling ashamed because she felt that she had not been diligent because of the surgery and because of the Master's health. She said that she has not been diligent enough, and she expects of herself to seize every day's moment. And she said, as long as I'm breathing, as long as I can still do something, I should diligently do it. I should be diligent, okay? And this is something that I think we should all take it to heart, in that this is her attitude. you know, as long as she can do something. And that is why even when she was doing her IV, and she would come out all week, but she would still rather come out and listen to everybody and talk to everybody. And this is her attitude. Okay, so as long as she can breathe, as long as she still has some function, she would. Okay, so but she felt that Master felt that there was still a shame because had not been diligent, and and Master then said, I have to commit this to myself, that not letting any second or minute slip by. Even if the doctors want me to shut my eyes in order to heal, I must keep my eyes open to stay focused on our efforts in Africa. Okay, so if this is what Master is doing, even after a surgical repair on her eyes, she's still willing and not wanting to let any minute slip by. What are we doing? We have our eyes perfectly working. We have everything perfectly working, but have we been focused on the efforts in Africa? And I'm not even saying that every time we listen to this, we need to donate. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, do we even know what we're doing in Africa? Do we even know what's happening in Africa? If you don't know what's happening in Africa, how are you going to really see that we are truly blessed? And if you don't see that you are truly blessed, how do you cherish this blessing? And if you don't cherish this blessing, how would you make more blessings for the world? You can't. So therefore, it all starts with seeing the suffering. And that's where the Chinese comes in, 见苦. And then you would know your blessing, 知福. But if you don't see the suffering, it's very difficult for you to see the blessings, okay? And if you don't see the blessings, then you're not going to cherish it. If you don't cherish it, you're not going to make more blessings. And then it's going to be a downward spiral. So this is what Master is saying that we went through last week. And so Master continues to say that Cyclone Idai devastated 3 nations, but in reality, they really have nothing left to be devastated because they really have nothing, okay? And so Master said, we must seize this opportunity, use this as a pivot, take this affinity and pave the path into Africa. And this is what Master is, you know, almost, you can see that, you know, at first she was, you know, remorseful. She was thinking, I need to have more effort. I don't like this body because it's dragging me. I want to do more. And now she's like transformed and saying that we need to seize on this opportunity. We need to take this as a pivot. We need to take this opportunity and we need to pave the path into Africa. This is the time to transform. And so Master says, as Bodhisattvas walk onto this impoverished land, she said, I think to myself, every footstep, every footprint by the Bodhisattvas, there will be lotus flower. Wherever our Tzu Chi volunteers go, there will be lotus flower. And this is more like she's giving herself a pep talk and inspiring herself and say, let's do this. You know, everyone is there. This is now happening. And so I'm showing you the pictures from Africa that we see a lot, which is in Africa, we don't know, these are naturally grown lotus flowers out in the open. It's not like somebody who maintained them in the pond. No, this is actually completely outgrown in the open, in the wild. So Master says every footstep, every footprint that Tzu Chi volunteers walked on, there will be lotus flower. And so this is something that, this is Master trying to inspire and try to get the troops fired up and say, hey, let's do this. This is the time. This is our era to flip, to transform Africa. Because I'm sure for all of us, you know, the poverty in Africa far exceeds, you know, it goes back far further than any of us when we were born, okay? So it's been poor forever, for the longest time that we were born and we know what's happening. So let us now, in our generation, this is the biggest thing that we can do, a contribution to the world, to humanity, is we are now trying to do something that's almost nearly impossible. But now Master is trying to tell us this is what we need to do. So Master says, I used to reference Africa as proof of the karmic cycle and the 6 realms, especially the hungry ghost and the hell realm. And there's always a possibility that we could be born in Africa. Wow, that's scary, right? So Master says, now I'm going to turn this around. No longer is it going to be a hellhole. No longer is it going to be a place where it's only going to be proof that karmic cycle, that if you don't do something good, you're going to go there. No longer is this going to be something that's always going to be referenced as a garbage dump or a bad place. No, we're going to turn this around. How are we going to turn this around? And this is the last part that she talked about that inspired many, many people. She said, now it's time to open the door of the bodhisattvas. Before, we only talked about it. Now we're truly going to open the door and see the suffering sentient beings at the end of the bodhisattva path. So this is the part that we're gonna, if you remember this last part, right? Seeing the suffering sentient beings at the end of the bodhisattva path. Okay, remember this. We're gonna come back to this. This is what we talked about last week, and this was cited many times. This was referenced many times in the past week by many different people. Okay, so that's what we talked about last week. And very quickly, we're going to go into this week. So what are we going to talk about this week? We're actually going to talk about a new program that on the ITV that goes before the drama, the traditional drama about the past monks and nuns that have done so much in spreading the Dharma and also preaching the Dharma. And this is the program that's new on the ITV, and I had the opportunity and the wonderful pleasure of hosting, part of this. I was co-hosting with somebody else. And as I was hosting this program, I got to know more about the insights of the stories of each monk. And as you probably might guess, next week, starting on the 6th, the next monk, the story of the monk that we're going to be talking about would be coming back to Dharma Master Di Jia, okay, 智者大师. So that's going to be coming back to us again. So while we're doing the reviews for 智者大师 Di Jia, Dharma Master Di Jia, then we're gonna come back to it again. So for the next month in May, that's going to be the drama going to be about. So it's going to be rerun, but the first 10 minutes where we do, that's real, that's very recent, okay? So I had the opportunity to host this program, and because of that, there was one exchange that I had with our one of the professor that was our guests, okay? So usually in these programs, the idea was we're trying to let the audience see more how this drama in the past about someone we don't know, how everything relates to us. What does it matter that why do we need to know these people? Why do we need to know what's happening in their past life rather than how their lives and how their wisdom actually can help us? So this is the program that focuses on how do we jump through the boundaries of time, and we take their wisdom and knowledge and apply it to our lives. Okay, so while in my exchange with this professor, who is a historical Buddhist teaching professor, he was explaining to me that one of the things about Dharma Master Di Jia was that his teacher, which was the second teacher, Dharma Master Hualien, which is also very renowned for his explaining and his understanding of the Lotus Sutra, he called Dharma Master Di Jia as foremost in preaching the Dharma. Okay, so this is a very, very important. This is a very, very important. It's a very, very high honor, because for someone to be foremost in preaching Dharma, that must mean that you really know all your stuff, right? You must know all your stuff. So Dharma Master Hualien continued. Anyone who is attached or more attached to the writings and the knowledge within and not applying the cultivation in practical terms can't possibly be, Dharma Master or Zen Master Di Jia in the thorough understanding of the principles and the teachings. So what does that mean? So in the past, all these Dharma Masters, they go to their different temples, and they would sometimes travel to different areas. And whenever they go to these areas, they would find the local monks, and they would discuss and engage in the very knowledgeable and thorough discussion of the Dharma. And what we call today is called debating. Okay, they would debate. And so Dharma Master Di Jia would always, he would beat everyone in the debate. And how did he do that? He did that because he was able to cite and reference all the different past scriptures and sutras. He was able to cite and interconnect the different sutras of the different time periods from the Buddha. And because he was able to do that, he was able to form these logic, and he was able to form these principles and teachings coming out of the connection between the different scriptures and sutra. So he was able to form his arguments a lot more clearly and a lot more stronger than the counterpart. So he was always able to beat others in a debate. So I was asking this professor, how he was able to do that. So the professor replied to me, because he was so broadly knowledged about all the scriptures and sutras. So he was able to do that. And I replied to him, well, I think things are quite different now. I think it's not so easy that you can just cite and quote from different scriptures and sutra to be able to say, hey, I think I'm going to beat you in a particular argument. Okay, so I believe this is what I said to the professor. I'm not quoting this from Master. This is what I said. Okay, not Master. I told the professor, I think to preach Dharma fluently, okay, it's not enough to just quote and cite from various scriptures and sutras, but rather you need to use real world examples that are engaging and relevant to the audience, right? The people that are listening to this, you can recite a story that you probably heard from the Buddha, talking about his past lifetime as a deer, the king of the deer, or as a monkey, or as a ox. You can cite all these stories, but these stories are so losing touch with today's world. You can tell me about how you're the king of the deer or an ox, but how are you able to talk? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I'll listen to the stories. These stories are now losing the appeals, and they are not engaging and relevant enough to the audience. And I really believe that to preach the Dharma fluently, and to be able to be foremost being foremost to preach the Dharma, I really believe that our master is the foremost in preaching Dharma today in the contemporary world, because master did just that. She exactly made all the things that are happening right now, using the stories and news that are really happening right now, that are engaging to us, that are relevant to us. Yes, for example, in Africa, truly it's really not engaging enough to us, but it's really happening. You can go online, you can see it on the news. It's real thing. It's not talking about the so-and-so's past life where no one can check, no one can see, or it's not about somebody that was born in the hell realm or someone who was born in the heaven realm where you can only imagine. These things are real. It's better than citing a scripture. It's telling you things that are really happening right now. And not only that, I think the most important thing that Master Cheng is doing in preaching the Dharma is she tells you not only citing and referencing, but also engages in these things. So it's not just to tell you, it's not like a news reporter who tells you what's happening in the world. But she not only tells you what's happening in the world, but tells you that we are doing something about this. She not only tells you that there is a global crisis about global warming, but she tells you what you can do in these things so we can change this. So she engages in these stories, in these news, in these happenings, and also teaching us collectively to put an effort in shaping the history and the future. And I think this is the idea of preaching the Dharma. It's no longer about preaching. If you want to be 说法第一, if you want to be foremost in preaching the Dharma, not only do you have to cite and reference what's happening, but you also have to say, this is what I do, and this is what we're doing, an effort that we're doing to change, to transform, and you can see the results right now. So this is what I believe, and this is what I tell the professor. I said, well, Dharma Master Di Jia could be the foremost in preaching Dharma in the past, but right now, I believe our Master Cheng is the one that is foremost in preaching the Dharma, because I really think that now in this society where people are not reading the sutras and text, but they're seeing the things that are happening today. How can we put these things relevant to them. And this is the key, is to make this relevant, to make this associated to all the audience, so that it's no longer just a story. It's not like a Cinderella story. It's not a bedtime story. It's something that's really happening. Not only that, but we can make an effort. We can change the history. We can change the future if we put an effort to it. And that's what the sutra should be talking about. So, but before that, okay, so that's what I mentioned to the professor. And then eventually I heard this as brother Stephen Huang was sharing. So he shared that in his exchange with Master Cheng, Master is now worried about what? She said, all the information and all the Dharma, all the scriptures are already stored online, okay? And they're so readily available with a touch from our fingertips. They're right there at our fingertips. You can just go online, you go to Google, or you go to any other search site. You can click, and you can click on any sutra's name, and then they will come up with an English version or a Chinese version or whatever language version you need. And all of these things, right, are right there with the touch of our fingerprints, okay? And they become so easy, so much, so vast. And so Master says, because they're too easy to obtain, it is easy to lose the necessary respect and reverence for obtaining Dharma. She said it used to be in the past that you would travel a long way to obtain something that is so true. It could be just one sentence. It could be just one phrase. But because they came by so difficult, it was so difficult to obtain this Dharma, that you would cherish that. You would respect and hold high reverence for that content. But now everything comes at your fingertips. You know, if you cannot make it, it's okay. We would just, do a live, and then you go to Facebook Live and you see it live there. You don't have to be in the audience. You don't have to travel all this time. All this distance to get there, right? And if you're late, stay home. You don't even need to change, right? In your pajamas, you just go ahead and watch. You can just, fire up the ITV and see the Master's talk right away. You don't have to go anywhere because it's so easy to obtain. It loses that necessary respect and reverence because it's no longer sacred. It's just so easy, just like any other YouTube film that we can watch online. You can lie in bed. You could be, before you go to bed, you can just, lie in bed and then watching, and, you lose that respect. If Master were in front of you preaching Dharma, would you be lying in bed? Would you be, wearing only pajama? You wouldn't, but that's what it becomes to. So Master is warning us, right? Warning us that it's very important that we need to hold that respect and reverence for Dharma, because that's the accumulation, the culmination of all the wisdom and experience in the time. Imagine how difficult it was for us to see a translated text, of the sutra, of the scripture. It was so difficult, but now it's so easy to forget. And this is the same sentiment, and I want to repeat this. This is the same sentiment that Master talks about when she talks about water. We turn on the faucet and we expect the water to flow out, right? Because it's natural, right? Because if you ask any child, where does the water come from? They would tell you it comes from the faucet. But does it really where it come from? No, it actually stays in our atmosphere, right? There's a cycle of the water, and there's water vapor, and there's, underground water, and there's all these things, right? But if you ask the children today, they'll tell you the water comes from the faucet because that's where it comes from. That's the problem. Now, in Africa, the water isn't so readily available. So they cherish all this water. But here in Taiwan, or in the places that you are, whether it's in Singapore, whether it's in Malaysia, or whether it's in Australia, for all the people here, it becomes so readily available that we lose the respect, that we lose the sentiment of how important they are, right? Same thing goes with our food. You pick up a bowl of rice, and then you begin to eat, and you think it's very natural that the food, that the rice grows out of your bowl. It doesn't grow out of your bowl. It's really, somebody had to plant it. So masters share with us, always be grateful for where they come from. Imagine all these people put in the effort so that you could eat that bowl of rice. Same thing. All these people made it happen so that there's water that comes out of your faucet. Now coming back. All these people went through all these trouble to make it so that you could have the sutra that we're reading today. Don't lose that. Don't lose that reverence. Don't lose that perspective. Always cherish that because they are very, very important. So this is a reminder, a very earnest, a very dire warning to us all. We are now engaged in the Dharma ending period because the Dharma is at the end of our fingerprints. Very important. Do not lose this reverence. Do not lose the respect. It's not just about the knowledge that's coming in the sutra. It's about the attitude, and the attitude also includes the respect and the reverence. Okay, so that's my sharing for today. I'm going to go quickly into some of the questions and hopefully some answers. The QAs for today, because I think it's very important. As I mentioned, this is the part that I want you to remember from before, and I'm recalling it again. So this is the segment where we talked about last week, and this was Master's talk on the 23rd to a lot of the Central Taiwan volunteers. Okay, so Master said to see the suffering sentient beings at the end of the Bodhisattva path. Okay, seeing the suffering sentient beings at the end of the Bodhisattva path. This is very important in answering the next 3 or 4 questions. Why? Let's go in. Okay, so some of our participants, and I'm very grateful and I'm very happy and I'm very honored that you are willing to ask these questions because without these exchanges, it's really difficult for all of us to really engage in a discussion, you know. So I'm very grateful for all these questions posted, and we have a community here to work together to try to find the answer. And once again, this is just my feelings, but it's not necessarily the only, but it's a perspective that I hope it's connected with Master's teaching. So which one is more important? Seeking donation, that's important, or seeking other involvement to participate in Tzu Chi activities, okay? So which one is more important? Do you want to ask for donation, or do you want to say, hey, it's not just donation, but you know, other involvement? And I want to tell you, go back to this again, go back to this statement, which is seeing the suffering sentient beings at the end of the Bodhisattva path. Everything you do, everything that Master teaches us, it's talking about engaging in the Bodhisattva path, walking the Bodhisattva path, right? But if you don't see that the end goal of this path are the sentient beings that are suffering, if you miss sight of that, then you are going to be strayed. You're not going to be walking on this path again. It's almost like, you know, when you're walking straight, when you're walking, instead of seeing the ground that's in front of you, you are looking far ahead. So then you are not going to be straight. But if you look into every step that you take, every centimeter in front of you, then you don't even know where you're going. You might be straight, but you don't know. So this sentence, this teaching from Master is essentially telling us, keep our eyes on the goal. The goal is to help the relief of the suffering of the sentient beings. That's the end of the path, meaning that's our goal. Always thinking about these suffering sentient beings. So now let's come back to this question. Should we seek donation or should we seek the involvement to participate? You decide. But the goal is always, how do we relieve the suffering of the sentient beings? I'm not telling you which one is more important. I'm telling you the ways to evaluate so you know which one is important, right? Does donation help, or does the involvement to participate in Tzu Chi activities help? You decide. You weigh them, but I'm telling you how to look at them, okay? So the next question is the same. There are so many activities in Tzu Chi, and it is not easy to get the people to join. Due to limited time, which is more important for them to join? Tea party or Aisa or fellowship? If there happens to be both held at the same month, and these people can only join one activity at a time. Once again, I'm referencing you back to that. Can we see at the end of the path, whether it's Aisa or whether it's other activities or fellowship or whatnot, can this bring them closer to the end of this bodhisattva path, which are the relief of the suffering sentient beings. Does this event bring us closer to feel what these people feel? Does these events make us more engaged to these suffering sentient beings? That's the importance, right? So because everybody's time is limited, you need to decide. This Aisa is very important because right now they or this newcomer don't understand. So we need to see more of these suffering stories so that we can trigger and inspire the compassion. That might be true. That might be true. But the most important thing is, how do we direct and help each other, inspire them closer, and always closer to the suffering sentient beings. Okay? So next question. Again, I joined Tzu Chi and was so inspired by the heartfelt stories, but later, after joining and given more tasks, the challenges started to surface. And then, you know what? Whoever asked this question, kudos to you, because you've asked the question that everybody wanted to ask, but no one dared. You asked this question. It's very real. Yes, you were so touched and inspired by all the things that we did, but after joining, now there are a lot of challenges, right? So the fatigue starts to set in. Yes, I understand. And then you begin to contemplate, do I want to stop? I wonder how could others sustain and feeling the joy? You know what? I really think this is the Dharma path that Master Cheng set out for us, and I'm going to repeat it again. Okay, so it's 见苦知福. 知福, 惜福, 造福. So in English, it's to see in the suffering, you would know that we are blessed. Knowing that we are blessed, you would cherish that blessing. And further, you would now trying to make and trying to obtain more of these blessings, not just for yourself, but for all. Okay? So if you do not see enough suffering, and I'm not talking about the suffering of yourself, like, oh, I'm fatigued. No, that's not what I mean. I'm talking about seeing the suffering in reality, seeing the people that are suffering. There are always going to be fatigue, but the more suffering that you see and feel, the more empathetic. Empathetic means you can feel. 同理, you can feel how others feel. The more you put yourself in the shoes of those that are suffering, yes, you're going to be fatigued, but you're going to feel the more suffering that you see, the more blessed you feel. And because you are fatigued, but you are going to be feeling that I am so blessed. The more I see Africa, the more I'm thinking, I am really blessed. The more that you think that you're blessed, that's how it's going to drive you and sustain you, because you feel that you're so content. You feel that you are so overjoyed because other people are suffering, but you are not. Then you begin to feel content, and then you begin to feel grateful. Then you begin to feel that you want to do something for others that don't have it. It's almost like you're able to complete all your tasks, and there are 3 or 4 others in the same class that don't know how to do this. Like, you finish all your homework, and the others don't know how to do this. You feel like, oh, wow, I'm glad I actually understand all this. And the more you feel this way, the more you feel like, maybe I could do something to help them understand. That's how the very simple psychologically and logically people works. So you're going to feel fatigue. You're going to feel that, challenges, and you're going to think about stopping. But always remember this. At the end of the Bodhisattva path are the suffering sentient beings waiting for us. If you see those suffering beings, then you're going to cherish, you're going to know that you're blessed. So once again, it always goes back to 见苦知福, 知福, 惜福, 造福. And if you don't have the first one, which is 见苦, then you're not going to be 知福. You're not going to cherish. You're not going to know that you're blessed. And if you don't know that you're blessed, trust me, you're not going to cherish it, because you don't even know that you have it. Then you're not going to cherish it. If you don't cherish it, then you're not going to make blessings for others or for yourself. So that's the message. So always seeing the suffering. If you see the suffering, then it's very simply, it's going to trigger. So my advice for all these 3 questions is seeing more. And how do you see more? How do you see more? It's very simple. Why? Because I gave you the QR code right here. So it's all tied in together. You know, please use me so that you can see more. All these stories are out there. The more you see, the more you feel with them. And then the more you would understand that we are truly blessed. And then you know what? You're going to cherish it. And then you know what? You're not going to feel so fatigued. You're not going to feel contemplating to leave. Okay? So if you haven't already, scan it again now. And this is the YouTube channel that has all the videos from Dai TV. They put all of it with English on there. So don't tell me that you don't understand Chinese. Okay, no, this is only English. They put subtitles on all of the videos in this channel. So use it well, and then you hopefully won't feel so fatigued. Okay, so that's my sharing for today. It goes a little bit over time. And so now we're gonna ask if the brother is here to share, then we would begin. Okay, so that's my sharing for today. Thank you, and we'll see if there is, okay, so Brother Huang is gonna be sharing today. Thank you. Okay, I think Brother Huang. Or anyone who would.
Hello.
Okay, wonderful.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, good morning, Dharma Master, Sifu, and brothers, sisters. And this is the first time I share using the Zoom, so I'm not sure. I try my best. Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out. I just do it without the slide. Okay, so I think some of you may have gone through the Master Tzu Chi or Di Jia, and the Master, the introduction, the Master was born in a turbulent time, but he is very diligent in Dharma study and also the practices. And although he's born in an elite family, but he's quite determined to renounce. And after the long period of pursuing Dharma, he cultivated tolerance and inclusiveness, and he found this Tian Tai school. And after a long period of the pursuing the Dharma, to cultivate, and he founded the Tian Tai school. So Emperor Sui, at that time, highly reverent to the Master Tzu Chi, Di Jia, or named him the real wise man of Tzu Chi, and award him the Royal Dharma Master. And so the emperor built this Guoqing Si in order to honor him. And at the moment, Guoqing Si become the like a spiritual home to the Tian Tai school, and also the Master Di Jia, also known as the Sakyamuni of the East. So the actual ending of the is a commentary to China, and the story begins with during the Tang Dynasty, this end of Tang Dynasty. Because of the war, the Chinese Sutra, I mean the Han lineage Sutra means those Sutra written or translated from Sanskrit to Chinese were scattered and some destroyed, and some end up in Korea. And including these three books written by Master Tzu Chi. Master Tzu Chi is a Dharma name of the is a Dharma name, and his Dharma name, and Tzu Chi is actually the award given by the Emperor Sui. And in 960 AC, the King Wu Wei sent an ambassador to Korea to exchange for these three 3 books with 50 rare treasure. How much is worth this treasure? Assuming it's close 1 million. The current situation may be 10 million, but it's estimated 1 million. Then how much is the books, the 3 book cost? I don't have the 3 books. I found the 4 books. How much it cost? What do you think? How much it cost? The book itself,
I think maybe just 100.
100.
Okay.
And why the emperor want to exchange the rare treasure with only the 3 books? So the value is not about it's not the book and the words inside the books. It's actually the Buddha Dharma or the wisdom words. So it's immeasurable. It's like infinity. So what are these 3 books? It's so valuable. It's written by Master Tzu Chi, and one is from meaning of Lotus Sutra, phases of Lotus Sutra, and a great contemplation. And if you need know more about this, you can find it, or you can purchase the books and read about it. It's actually it's actually out of the Master Sutra. You have full understanding of the Lotus Sutra and practice it, and it's come out of the personal insight. And the king actually hesitated to let go these 3 books. And why the king hesitated? So he consulted the Master Di Jia, right? And the Master Di Jia advised the king not only return the books, right, but also send a special envoy to protect and deliver it to the watching Cheng. And the question is why the king hesitated, and why the Master Di Jia advised that not only just return or just exchange for the treasure, but make a special effort to protect and deliver it. I mean to say send it with the respect and to protect it. It's really a very, very valuable thing. And the king is and the Master Di Jia advised that the Dharma, especially Lotus Sutra, is the foundation of governing a country. So the king feels that why I should benefit many countries and other countries that expand their own country. That means to say, if I have to give away, there's something valuable that benefits my country. Why should I give away? Then I don't have it. Right? But the Master Di Jia explained, right? The Dharma, especially Lotus Sutra, is the foundation of governing a country. In many countries, say when the Dharma is a foundation of the government, that means to say, if the king using the Dharma as a principle to governing a country, the country becomes prosperous. So the king felt that he should not share. But the Master Di Jia advised that through teaching of through understanding of the Sutra, not through the books and words, but through the personal insight. So the great Master Tzu Chi have penetrated a full realization of Lotus Sutra through the practices, through his own practices. So the book is written through his insight. So the Master Di Jia advised the king that we should not attach the books and words, rather we make use of the Dharma. Not the value is about the Dharma, not the books itself. So the Master Di Jia also advised that you should be grateful to have benefited from these three books, and it should be returned. And some more on the return of the gratefulness as well. So later the king agreed, and then he made a wish that may the wisdom of the Master Di spread far wide around the world. That is to say, when they share the Dharma, we don't lose the Dharma, because the Dharma is in us. But if you share the books, we may just lose the book, right? But if share the Dharma, we don't lose the Dharma. So this is the spirit of sharing the Dharma. So the episode 2 is is about the Master Huang. I mean the novice Tzu Chi. I mean the stories begin with a okay. The novice Tzu Chi is Lama name when is ordained at the a novice monk in the in the age of 18, and he received the full ordination at the age of 20. That means become a monk, a Dharma master at the age of 20, and it happened at the Hunan Hualien the story about him. And Master Cheng is a teacher of Tzu Chi. The story began with the two brothers. It was criticized by other monks when go around for alms. It means at that time, Hualien, going for alms and being criticized. Criticized why? Because the certain sutra is not available in the temple, so they are not aware of it and they do not know what is the content of it, and being criticized by other schools that they are lacking or something. Okay, so but to this novice monk Tzu Chi, he felt that being a renunciate, being a monk or nun, you should aspire to benefit sentient being and strive to be true liberation, and why it should be complete each other. And he was talking himself. He's saying that the flowers and the plant, he have their own time to blossom, right? I mean, to say the free to express and demonstrate. Individuals were staying in harmony with each other. So the flowers, the plant, they should blossom at their own season. Why they should compete? So the Master Huang came in and heard about it, and he found that this novice monk is not an ordinary person. He has a certain wisdom with him. So he also expressed his view that so all the discrimination, all the differences between the school is all man-made. There is no which school is more superior or inferior. You see, and at the present moment, we can see there's many schools, right? We know about Theravadian, we know Mahayana, and also the Tibetan school of this. And then among the main three lineage, there are many schools under it, and so in our lifetime, we couldn't study and practice all the Dharma expounded by the Buddha. It's impossible. It's so many, right? And what we should do is we choose whichever suits us. And then once we found that certain school or certain teaching or a certain master is suited, say for example, we choose Tzu Chi and we found that it is suitable for us, then be sure we were diligent in our social school and not to criticize other practices and theory that we do not yet to understand. Right? For example, we shouldn't say that Tzu Chi is a Mahayana. We are huge bigger because we study Lotus Sutra, right? And then we started to criticize other schools, say, they did not Lotus Sutra is not part of their studies or practice, and they are Hinayana, they are small vehicles, right? So, but we are not in a position to criticize because we do not understand other practices and what their master have taught. Okay, likewise, right? We do not wish other schools to criticize Tzu Chi only practice cultivating blessing and without wisdom. So make sure we choose which school. We learn from there is we should be diligent in whatever practice we are in. and just let go whichever we yet to understand. So this is what we're learning from that, and you can see that we are lucky now in Buddhism. In the history of Buddhism, there is no war or fight because of differences in the school. Yeah, but we can see that other religions, because of different schools, there's a war because of different practices within the same religion as well. So if we are blessed to become a Buddhist, we don't have a war just because there's no war between Hinayana and Mahayana or Theravada. We won't practice our own way and respect others. In a greater world like today, we have many religions. We have a Christian, we have Muslim, and we can accept each other. Like in our organization itself, we can see that there are Christians that become volunteers, and also Muslim become volunteers as well. So one we stay, we keep the harmony with each other, although there are differences in the teaching. Right? As long as we stay in harmony with each other, respect each other, without even criticize others, and there will be this will be a peaceful world. There will be no war just because of differences in understanding, differences in the teaching. And with that, I shall end my sharing. Hello.
Yes. Okay. Brother Hing, thank you. Thank you very much for your sharing. A little bit background story for those of you who might not hear it clearly, and for those of you who might not know the story of the Dharma Master Tzu Chi or Dharma Master Di Jia, depending on your pronunciation. The first episode that Brother Hing talked about was when several hundred years later, when the king was trying to figure out, they're hoping to retrieve the long lost writings and the knowledge that were written by Dharma Master Di Jia or Dharma Master Tzu Chi that were long lost in China. It was written in China, but now they're long lost. And now they're in Korea. So they have to spend a lot of money, and even the emissaries have to have they spend, they put all these treasure and say, oh, we're gonna give you all this just in the chance that you can return to us, to China, the writings. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up was because the more I think about this, and this was confirmed, I was thinking, how is it possible that something that was in writing could, throughout time disappear, and then it would show up in Korea? And so the understanding that I had was, in the old days, right, how would these writings or these books and these sutras, if you will, how are they spread, right? They're spread by people copying them, okay? So if I had the original copy, and what does that mean by original? There's no one that had the original, because the original is in India, right? So then they came back, the all great monks that took the journey, and then they come back. They came back with their copy. It's not the original, their copy, because the original people in India are not gonna give them the originals, right? So they came back with their own copy. And then you have a lot of their followers and students, they begin copying. So more people can be spread and understand this, right? So as more and more copies of the copy gets copied, then they're gonna be spreading out to more people. But because of the war in China, all these things were torn and burned, and people are running away for their lives, and so these copies were gone and lost. But because previous to the war, these copies already, they were already flowing through merchant, through business, trading, already to different countries. And that's how eventually the king found out that what we lost, it's actually still in Korea. But trust me, that's still the copies of the copies of the copy, right? So when we go to Korea and we present it all this money, as what Brother Hing talked about, you know, millions, right? How much does 3 books worth, right? 100. But they instead provided, you know, all these, you know, boxes of the very, very important, not important, but very, very high-priced, you know, things for the Korean king. Now, the whole point was, and I believe, and this was confirmed with the people that was, you know, going into the history, right? So this is the very interesting part. You go there, and when the king agreed, the king didn't return their copy of the copy of the copy. They just let you copy. So they keep their own copy, and they have all the sentries and all the soldiers next to you, watching you, making the copy of this copy. Okay, so you bring back what? You bring back the copy of their copy. They get to keep that. So it's not about returning, but rather it's really about spreading. Because the whole idea was that the meaning of the text was lost. People are not reading into the text, but they think that this book, the form itself, has the power to provide peace to a dynasty. So they're not going to give you their copy because they think that this thing, it's not the insight and it's not the knowledge in the words, but this thing, it's very important for the stability of the country. And that's why the king was like, well, if I give you this thing that gives them the stability in China, wouldn't they become strong and then we will be threatened? That's when the Dharma, the other master that advises the king says, you know, king, it's not this thing. It's the teaching that's inside. And if you truly understand the teaching that's inside, you would know that if they get strong, they're not, if they truly follow the teaching, they're not going to come invade us and we're not going to have problems. And that's how the king agreed. Okay, put 200 men around them and make sure they don't steal anything. Yes, but they're allowed to copy. So eventually they come back with their own carts of copied of the copy of the copy of the copy. Okay, so this is the thing, and that goes to tell you, and Brother Hing and I, we didn't rehearse this, right? That goes to tell you how we need to cherish it. This is how people of the old days, they had to, you know, transmit Dharma this way, right? But us right now, it's all on our fingertips, right? You look at this and you go like, oh yeah, you know, let me Google it, right? Let me just, you know, have a document here and there. It's on my phone, it's on my laptop, it's on my all of these places. You don't really care because there's so many copies around. But there will be one day when there's no more copy. And then you'll be like, let me ask you, can you find, you know, can you find issue number 123 of our monthly journal? Very, very difficult, right? So where do we find that copy? I don't know. Let's go and find, let's go to the recycling station. Maybe in all of Taiwan, there might be one place that has that copy. Same idea. One day, all of this copy online might be gone. Then what happens next? You're gonna pay a huge amount of money or huge amount of treasure just to get it back. Maybe you might not even have no amount of treasure in the world will get you back those things. And that's why you need to cherish all of it as if they're the last one. Okay, so we didn't rehearse this, but this is very important. It goes back to what Master was saying. You know, we're losing our respect and reverence for something because we think they're so easily obtained. But one day, they're not going to be around. And when they're not around, you'll be very, very difficult to get them back. So cherish it always, okay? So thank you, Brother Hing, for your sharing. And thank you, everybody. We're going to be back here again next week. So everybody, please come back again. And not only come back, but also grab a friend, okay? Get more people to come back and let's listen and share and grow together and learn together. And because this is what Tzu Chi is really about, the Bodhisattva path that needs you and I. Okay, thank you and goodbye. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. And we have our wonderful sisters from Australia waving to everybody. And now we are going to bow. Okay.
Wonderful sharing. Okay, Brother Joe for lots of heartfelt and wisdom sharing. Brother Hing for your wonderful sharing on 2 episodes of Zen Master Di Jia. Almost welcome our Australian sisters. Thank you, brothers and sisters around the globe. Thank you for your presence. I hope that each of us will sustain the Dharma joy and take in another piece of Dharma Master and Hualien love to our life. Let us please make the 3 vows to the Buddha and Dharma Master as we depart to apply these teachings in our daily life. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life, universal truth. Come together, first vow. Second vow. Third vow. And about our beloved Sifu who could join us today. Cảm ơn everyone.
Okay, cảm ơn. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah. Hola, bye-bye. Itu. Ino.